a little bit about like a quarter review, the first quarter review. What lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. So we're going to talk about what lies before us today. But first, I am going to go over the stats, Jimmy. So I will put you down a little bit in the lobby and hide our little quote of the day. So today we've got 20 days of inventory, 1,879 single-family homes. We just listed 22 that were 450,000 and under, which gives us a total of 469 homes, 450,000 and under. We were at the rate of 130 sales per day, but yesterday with 107 closings, it brought us down to 127 sales per day. But we'll see, because we usually have a surge the last couple of days of the month. So I think that's going to go back up to 130. Everything else is kind of the same. You know, the investors are 37% of the market year to date, 45 sales a day. And, you know, if you're not reaching out to investors, you're missing a big part of the market. So let's see, where did my Jimmy go? There you are. Yeah, here we come. So don't you think, Jimmy? I mean, that's a lot of investors buying homes every day.
It just goes to show that investors are not interest rate sensitive like the rest of the market. And investors are not going to go anywhere as long as all the forecasts for inflation are in place and everything that's going up with gas prices and everything else. The investors aren't going to go away.
No.
And here's the message. I think, you know, we've talked about plan, farm, database, plan, farm, database, plan, farm, database. If your plan isn't weighted a little bit towards finding some investors, some of your normal buyers are being priced out of the market right now. You're going to have to balance your business with more investors. You're going to have to find people that are sitting on a ton of equity, that because interest rates they're not done going up. And no. You made a comment on the show yesterday. You said, you know what, we kind of got sour on real estate, but we just bought a condo or whatever, and you pulled the money out of your house. And,
yes.
And if agents are not hearing that message, and agents are not taking that message to the street, say, look, you need to get some of this equity out of your house while you have all this equity, while rates are still only at 5%. They're 5%. That's all they are. And you can buy another house. And if the house goes up 8 or 9%, which that's realistic with inflation, you're making 3% on somebody else's money. They got to start thinking about the small mom and pop investor.
Absolutely, Jimmy. And you're doing something similar too. You're buying a house, right?
I'm working on it right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so having said that, I think that today, come on, please. Let's see here. I know it's always, can you just put it over there?
No, I'm laughing because of the graphic.
No. Isn't that weird? Okay, so maybe now it'll work. Show you, show me. And put that over on the side. There we go. Oh, it's a juggling act. Yeah, our greatest weakness lies in giving up. Okay, it's the first quarter. How did you do? How are you doing? I'm looking at numbers and I don't see any rising stars there, you know, so there's still enough inventory to go around for everybody, sellers and in other words, I don't see, Jimmy, any new stars in the listing arena.
No.
I mean, so there's still plenty of room there for people to forge ahead with farming. You know, plan, farm, you have to have a system. And we're going to kind of talk about that today, because if you're not doing that, it might be because you're not trying hard enough, or you have time management issues. And
well, if your plan is to hit your farm, and then your farm produces a listing, and you've been paying attention to your database, you know who to sell that listing to when it comes on the market. You have the database to do it. So you might do less transactions, but if you do maybe 25 or 30% more double-sided transactions, you're going to make more money.
Yes, definitely. And I think that coming soon is working. I really do. I see that a lot of agents are double-ending deals. Mm-hmm. Do you see that in your brokerage?
I haven't looked for that, but I know you and I both, as long as we put the right disclaimers in, both of us realize that the seller's hired us to sell their house. If we bring the offer, they don't care.
No, they don't care. So the more certain way to succeed is always to try just one more time. So let's review time management today. And we did this, I did this in December of 2021, or 2020 actually. And I think I did it again in 2021. And mastering time management when you're a real estate agent is one of the most difficult things that you can do. And Jimmy, why do you think that is?
Too many shiny objects.
And what's a shiny object?
Well, internet leads for one thing. Instead of working on your farm and your database, internet leads they're very seductive. And I think that there is a time and a place for internet strategy, and you have your 5-5-5-5 formula,
Right.
and that's part of your time management. That's putting everything in. That's, they talk about being effective versus being efficient. That's an efficient use of your time when you're reaching that many people in that short of a time period. Being effective, that's where your farm has to come in.
Well,
both. It's got to do both.
Absolutely. And if you remember the time management jar that, Ryan Buffini talks about.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you put in first?
I actually saw Stephen Covey do this from stage one time. What a mind blower when he did it the first time. He put the big rocks in first, but he just, and I've seen Buffini do it from the stage as well. But the first time I ever saw it was with Stephen Covey, and pretty impressive.
Well, it's impressive because it really makes sense and it really works.
Yeah.
The activities surrounding the main 5 circles of life: spiritual, family, business, financial, and personal. Those are the big rocks. Those are the activities that, you have to take care of first: spiritual, family, business, financial, and personal. And then pebbles, number 2, is your real estate job description. And number 3 is the sand. That's the errands and the miscellaneous tasks. And then water is the fires that inevitably pop up during the day. And I think that's the biggest showstopper for agents. You get a plan, you get a system, and then all of a sudden you're interrupted.
Mm-hmm.
You got to show a house. You got to do a listing presentation. And I know there's a lot of real estate agents that have children. And I was watching a Tom Ferry today, and he had a team that the husband started out as a lender and she was a real estate agent, and they got together, and then he became an agent, and they then started their own brokerage. And since 2000, and oh my gosh, they have 5 kids in the past 10, 11 years. And Tom Ferry says, how in the world do you do what you do? They have a property management business. They sell real estate. Now they have a escrow company to be a full service brokerage. And she said, I do with my 5 children. We want to spend time with our 5 children. So we outsource everything. Instacart, she has that comes to her house, or groceries come to her house. They outsource the accounting. They outsource hiring people. And they said when they go home at night, they want to spend time with their children. And so they have, if they can do it managing 3 businesses, mm-hmm. And they do a tremendous amount of real estate. They're in I think their company's called Love 805, because 805 is an area code in Central California. It's a huge market, but they manage to, because they said they have systems and they don't deviate from their systems. And they said, yeah, you get torn away here or there with a crisis, or you have to put out a fire, you have to, show up and show a house or whatever. But they said the system that they have is one that they know if you just get back to it in a day or two, you just keep on that train. Mm-hmm. And that's what people don't get.
Well, Buffini, when he talks about his time management, he says, leave some wiggle room in there for those things, because they're going to come up, and he calls it wiggle room. You have to have some latitude in there. If you get everything right down to the gnat's eyebrow, then you're going to be thrown off. But you figure out there's going to be some things where, oh my God, they want me to see the house right away. It's my listing and it's my buyer. I better go show it, whatever.
Yeah, and then number 3 is, how to set your priorities in real estate. The 5 no matter what's of time management, So you got to take 15 minutes to plan your day. You just have to. Because if I plan my day, my plan tomorrow, I plan that today, I kind of know what's going to happen tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So I make sure tonight when I do my business plan, or in the afternoon before I leave work, I know what's in front of me tomorrow. And, that way you eliminate those hiccups, that you have to go put out a fire or show a house or whatever, because you already know that. And you already know what your plan is. And then if you do have an interruption, you have a plan where you can just pick it up the next day. So, you have to control your schedule. And one of the things I used to tell when the phone was more of a vehicle, phone calls and voicemails, on the voicemail, I would always tell people, just say, if you've reached me between before 11 o'clock, I return all my phone calls between 11 and 12. Or if you've reached me before 4, I return all my phone calls between 4 and 5. And managing people's expectations of when they're going to get a return phone call. Mm-hmm. That's important. And in today's world, voicemail is becoming a thing of the past, actually, don't you think?
Well, no, I don't. I don't think so. I think a lot of people, if they're going to try a text as well, but if your voicemail has given them the message you just said, I don't think it's a thing of the past. I think it's an expectation setting tool. And I do hear way, way more agents say, just text me, just text me, just text me. Well, then you can't give them that response unless you set up your text properly. So it does respond. Hey, I'm driving. Hey, I'll return the text between 4 and 5. So you can use that same strategy that you just said on a text if you learn how to do it, which I haven't learned that yet.
Well, I'm sure, again, but it's not difficult, and agents are very phone centric, so they can probably figure it out. But you've got to control your incoming requests.
Yeah, the interruptions.
Yeah. And it's good. I mean, I like the texting back of people, because most people are calling you now from an iPhone or an Android. So, they're going to get the text. Mm-hmm. They're going to get a response. Right. And then, because what I like about text is I know what I have to do, because I even text myself sometimes so that I remember to do things.
Absolutely.
So I really like the texting tool. So you can, and then they know you're going to get back to them.
Yeah.
And then at least 2 hours of daily proactive prospecting. Oh my gosh. This is something that I just see agents push to the side. I don't want to pick up the phone. Well, what are you in this business for? Mm-hmm. You got to contact people. And Tom Ferry talks a lot about, let's see, one of his fellows, I think it's Mays is his last name. Oh, it's Brian Mays, I think. Jeff Mays. Anyway, Jeff says, just do a video. Say, hey, Jimmy, sorry I missed you. I'll talk to you tomorrow, or I'll talk to you later. Or you say, sorry I missed you. I've got some important information. The house across the street just got listed. Maybe you want to know what it listed for, and I can do the value of your home. But if they see your face, that's becoming very, very important, because you're getting a lot of spam texts nowadays, and they're not videoing. So you always have to stay ahead of the game. Go where the puck is going. You've got to stay ahead of the game. So I think if you learn how to, like we at a property management, we call our tenants just to ask them if they want to buy a house, right? Mm-hmm. Well, it's much more impressive if they see your face. Mm-hmm. And people don't like to do that, but you have to do it.
I think if you gave a class, Ruthie, on how to do that very specific thing, one class, 1 hour, 2 hours, however long it takes, and you charge $25 for it, people would pay it. I'd pay it. Yeah. If I'm going to come in and I'm going to learn, but by the time the class is over, I'm going to know how to pick up my phone, do that, send it out from step A to all the way to Z. I'd pay it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it's just, there's so many options that make it easier today than ever to prospect.
Yeah.
And I just recently had lunch with a title company, and I said, I want the phone numbers of the people in John's farm. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? Out of 1,200, I think we've got maybe 200 phone numbers. That's wonderful. Mm-hmm. I mean, somebody said, you only got 200? I said, I just got 2 baskets of gold. So when you have somebody's phone number, it's so easy to text them. if you don't know what to say on the first call, text them and say, hey, this is John Albrand, and I'm, just letting you know that there's a new listing on Morning Grove, and it listed for this much price per square foot. Now, if you would like, I'll keep you informed on, how much it sells for. When it sells, text me yes or no if you're interested. Mm-hmm. And that's a strategy that Tom Ferry uses, because he says, if people don't want to know, fine, move on. That's one less thing you have to do that's going to be unproductive.
Right.
So, 2 hours of daily proactive prospecting. So there's that. And then one regular day off. Everyone needs a day to recharge, spend time with your family and friends, and simply get away from your work. And if you pick at least one day each week and build it into your schedule, you might find it easier to stay consistent. And Jimmy, I know that when we do Be the CEO of Your Life, you show them how to create that calendar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what's the first thing you put on there?
Date night.
Right. Yeah. And then when you can't schedule to do a listing presentation unless it's just the only day they have.
And they know that they're on your calendar.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Your significant other knows. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. So John and I love date night. We really look forward to it, and it has a special meaning. And mm-hmm. when it's on the calendar and you do it, that's special. And then what do you do next?
Your own things your personal things that I do martial arts, and that goes on my schedule next. Otherwise, I'll get an appointment for those times. So it's date night first, and then my spiritual rebirth or re-energizing or whatever. But my physical and my spiritual, those go on next.
Yeah. Yeah. It was funny. I was thinking today, speaking a bit of spiritual, just to digress for a moment. I watched that Tony Robbins video again, because it says watch it every day for a few days. So, okay, I watched it again this morning after I did my workout. And they were talking a little bit about happiness. And I sat there and I thought, Jimmy said something about happiness and about being too content or whatever. And I thought, when I came to Vegas, I was 40 years old, and I hadn't been happy for 40 years. But I was content with unhappiness. Yeah. And so when I came out here, I came out with my dog, and that was it. I didn't know anybody out here. But I thought, okay, I'm going to create a happy environment. So Be Happy became my mantra way back, 35 years ago, because I was looking for happiness, and I was going to create my own happiness, because where I had been, I thought, okay, I'm going to geographically plant myself somewhere else, and I'm going to get a different mindset, and I am going to be happy. And so it was something I strived to be, and I've carried that through 35 years. And, I'm a pretty consistent person. So
you are, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I thought, gee, I wasn't happy when I moved out here. And then, just getting new things into my life, and attracting different types of people and things like that, and going out and getting new things. All of a sudden, I was feeling better. And I was working out in the morning and in the afternoon back then, because I was a little bored and I wanted to do something constructive. But then, I met John, and all of a sudden I found happiness, because I could share my life with somebody who we had so many like values, and so we liked the same things, and all of a sudden I had a better purpose. And
happy people are more productive. They're more fun to be around. They're better socially. Happy is better all the way around. My message is guard against complacency. And when you're happy all the time, then you're not seeing the areas that there might be some room for improvement. And those are the areas that I want to be unhappy with. I went in yesterday and I told one of my partners yesterday, I said, I'm really happy with you, but I'm really unhappy with where this is. And so this is what I'm going to be working on for the month of April. I kind of announced to him, this is what I'm going to be working on for the month of April, because there are some areas that I'm not happy with. And it doesn't mean I'm not a happy person. It doesn't mean I can't be happy, but it means there's some areas I'm not willing to settle for.
Exactly. And it's interesting, because we're talking about, assessing the first quarter, and perhaps, making improvements for the second quarter. And I've kind of done the same thing with my, this weekend, I I said, okay, here's what I want to change. Here's what I want to improve here. And yeah, so we're on the same page with that. And so we're setting priorities and for the next quarter based on the previous quarter or the previous year, however you want to look at it. But it's okay to change your plans, and it's okay to start doing things a little differently, like setting your priorities and doing your calendar. And that's so important in figuring out how you're going to do the 2 hours of prospecting every day, and controlling your calls, and then taking the 15 minutes to plan your day. I mean, I think this is a great slide of, five no matter what's of time management is what it's called. So I really like that. And then the next thing is plan ahead but finish big. And this is when you're starting to, you shift your focus to planning the new quarter. You can't lose sight of the present entirely because you're living in it. And as a real estate agent, there's still ways to win the week, the day, the month, the year, and that's right in front of you. And so here are 5 ways to help you plan to finish big. And I think this is from Brian Buffini, and he says, reconnect with your clients and ask for referrals. I can't tell you how many people will not ask for referrals. They cannot say the mayor campaign. And it's amazing to me. And because once you start doing it, it's easy. What's the big deal to ask people if they have someone who wants to buy or sell a home?
Yeah, it tells me that they're not excited enough about something that they've seen. Because if you've seen a house that you know is a really good deal, you would be willing to tell people, gosh, Ruthie, I saw something really interesting and I thought of you, and I know how connected you are. And if you have a friend or a family member that is thinking about maybe picking up an investment property, this one is a killer deal. Now I have something to talk about. Besides just, please give me a referral, here's an opportunity for you. And I think that's the challenge with the message. If I'm asking you for something, I don't want to do that. But if I'm telling you about an opportunity for one of your family members or your friends, now I have a message I'm willing to go out and preach to my whole database. You got to have the opportunity first. That drives the conversation, not just knowing, I know the mayor campaign. I mean, we can both spout that off. I think the mayor campaign is a place to start because you're training your folks. But if you're going to get on that phone and prospect for 2 hours a day, you better have a message that's exciting for them. Like you said, my neighbor across the street on Marigold just listed their house. That's a message I'm interested in. So yes. I'm willing to make those calls. But beyond that, have you seen anything in the marketplace that's exciting enough to tell somebody about?
Yeah. And with interest rates going up too, that's another message that if if you've got renters that you've dealt with in the past, or like us with property management, we have tenants and we can say, if you buy a home for, the home they're in, right? So the basic square footage that they're looking for, or that they want to live in. And if that's still the case, here's a home for, $400,000 that came on the market, and your payment would be less than the rent's going to be the next time, you get a lease renewal. So you might want to, because it takes my pitch is always, it takes at least 6 months to get in the groove of finding a home. It really does. Maybe you have some credit issues you got to fix. You got to pay off some credit cards, and then we have to find the right home, and you got to get qualified. So it's a process. And if people understand that, then they're more likely to want to do business with you.
Well, there's an urgency built in the marketplace by what you're saying. I don't know what show it was, but it was been 6 months ago when we were talking about the future. And I said, by the end of this year, rates would be at 6%. And you said, well, you might be right, but I hope not. But in the first quarter, we've gone from 3.3 to 5%. We've gone 1.7% more in interest rate. And I had an agent call me the other day. They did a walkthrough. There were some things that were wrong with the house. It said, tell the buyers, close on the deal. The cost of fixing those repairs in the walkthrough are going to be way less than if they lose their loan lock and they have to go out and get a loan right now. They're going to pay 5% instead of 4%.
That's a great message too. Great message. Let's see. Number 3 here says, continue to track your activities and numbers. So if you've been tracking your activities, hopefully you are, how many phone calls you're making, and how many presentations those are turning into, whatever. Tracking gives you perspective and allows you to see how far you've come as well as how far you have to go. And if you haven't tracked your numbers, you need to start now. If you've not done it, don't be bummed that you didn't do it. Just start doing it. That's all. And when you have a snapshot of this year starting now, it'll help you develop a habit so you can view and understand your progress the rest of the year. So if you use the first quarter as, okay, how did I do with my plan? Or did I even have a plan? Maybe I need to get one now. It's okay. Just make the next quarter, that you're going to plan ahead so that you can finish bigger than the first quarter. Your second quarter is going to be bigger than the first quarter. And this says plan ahead, but finish big.
I haven't seen him say it very many times, but Buffini said something a few months ago that just struck me. He said, when you track, you win. If you track, you win. Planning is important, but if you're tracking, you're going to win.
That's really important. It is, because you don't know why things happened or what to improve on if you haven't tracked it. Mm-hmm. What do you always say? You can't hit a target you don't have?
Zig Ziglar said that, yeah.
And he said, people often say that motivation doesn't last. Well, neither does bathing. That's why we recommend it daily. And that's a Zig Ziglar as well.
Yep.
Yeah. And how can you keep your motivation up? Well, read positive motivational books and quotes, and listen to motivational music, podcasts, watch inspirational movies, and review your goals and think about why you created them. And that's what I was doing this week, listening to Tony Robbins. I needed some, some emotional uplifting, if you will.
Did you post that on your site?
No, but I will.
Okay, that'd be good.
Yeah.
I'll watch it.
Yeah, I will do that. And then invest in training. Oh my gosh, here we are, Jimmy. Another way to keep motivated is to invest in training. And we talked about that yesterday too. Come and do a class a month, whether you need it or not. Mm-hmm. You really do need it. Mm-hmm. But you might not need the CE credits, but you need to be up on what's going on and you know what? A lot of our students say that we energize them. Mm-hmm. Because we make things relevant, not boring. We're not boring.
And they're in a learning environment. And how do you put yourself in a learning environment? Now, you can do it on your own, like you said, with podcasts or videos and stuff like that, or you can be in a group. And some people get more inspired in a group. So whatever your personality style is, you can't leave the training out. But if your personality style is introvert like mine, and going to classes is not your cup of tea, you got to get out of your comfort zone, and you got to go to a class and be around people. I've just signed up for some classes myself for this coming year. The NAR conference in Orlando is in November, and I'm going. And it's not that I want to be around a bunch of realtors, but I need to be in that environment occasionally. So
yes. And I signed up for the Train the Trainer yesterday with Armida.
And you're going to be around a bunch of instructors and that are like-minded as you. How do I communicate better with students? How do I inspire them better? And that's the whole thing about getting better as a presenter. And your students are going to benefit from you being in that environment.
Yes. Yeah. And you and I both think we're very like-minded that way. Well,
I'm
Jimmy,
going too. You and I are both, I'm going to be there too.
I know.
Okay.
So we've been going for a half hour, and I've got a few more slides. Tomorrow we can talk about 10 most effective activities. And we have the 10 most effective activities to talk about, 5 tips to better control your time. That's a good one. And then we'll talk a little bit about scheduling done right. And if you're managing a team or you want to think about it, we're going to talk about that a little bit. And then we're going to have some apps that help people get organized. So that'll kind of be for tomorrow. And we'll talk about that. And we'll get to the part of this beautiful market we're in, because, we got to take advantage of it, like make hay while the sun shines.
Well, that's a great way to round out the end of the quarter for sure. Get ready for the next quarter. Thank you.
Okay, Jimmy. And we have a class on Thursday from 10 to 1 with Jack Limburg. And he and I did a YouTube yesterday. Facebook was wonky yesterday. They took our, Jack had a American flag in the background. I don't know if that's why they took it down or not.
Wow.
Yeah, but Facebook didn't let us do our guest show yesterday at 1:00, but it's on YouTube. And Jack really, he really he can articulate so succinctly the value agents get if they take his class. And he's done it so many times now. He's just getting better and better at that.
One more thing for you to post on our page or on your page. One more thing to post, Jack's YouTube.
Yes, right. There you go. Okay. I got 2 things to do. I think I can remember that.
Okay. I'll text you if you miss it.
Okay. Y'all have a great day, and we will see you tomorrow, Jimmy.
Oh, okay.